A school shooting in California to tell you about now, and we're just getting information in. Authorities in Northern California, Tehama County, the sheriff's department, they're reporting they are calling this still an active shooting. However, 3 people are reported dead and several wounded.
Where they got shooting? Where?
About this, we'll bring it to you. This is
Tell
Northern
Larry.
California, a rural area
Yeah.
you see there on the map.
So each paper that you see back there represents at least one firearm. You're talking about a lot of pages to look through. 67 million is what I estimated that's in here at this moment. Once we exceed 10,000 boxes inside the building, there's some concern that the floor might collapse. So consequently, we started moving stuff out into shipping containers here in the parking lot. Oh, I'd say there are at least 29 shipping containers out here in the parking lot right now. And there's so much that it can't be unpackaged yet. ATF's National Tracing Center Division is a factory for investigative leads related to violent firearms crimes. On any particular given day, there's 8,000 trace requests in process.
And each one of those 8,000 represents a crime.
Yeah, we can't trace guns unless they're associated with a criminal investigation. It's the gun at the crime scene that drives the whole effort for us, and then our job is to discover some way to link that firearm to a suspect. The way it works is a law enforcement agency recovers a firearm at a crime scene. They submit a trace request. We receive that request. Then we take that gun and we research it through the chain of distribution from a manufacturer, importer, wholesaler, all the way down to a retailer until we identify a purchaser. And we provide that information to the law enforcement agency that hopefully provides them with an investigative lead capable of linking a suspect to a firearm in a criminal investigation. And, you know, that's how it works.
Hi, this is Marcy with the ATF National Tracing Center. Hi, is this Scott?
Good afternoon. This is Jill at the ATF National Tracing Center. I have a gun trace that I need your help with, please.
For as long as federal firearms licensees are in business, they're responsible for maintaining their own records. And when I say records, the main one is a Form 4473, which is what any individual that purchases a firearm fills out at the gun dealer at the time of the purchase. So when a licensed dealer closes his doors for business, he's legally obligated to submit his records here. We've been receiving over 2 million records a month, which is really more than any time in our history. So this is where they initially get sorted. The records don't arrive in these nice, neat, and tidy boxes that you see, but rather they come in whatever format they were sent in by the out-of-business dealer. We do get records in that have been involved in a fire or have been flooded out by a hurricane.
Records on paper towel, and I see one set of records on toilet paper in the past. Doesn't mean, we have the luxury of throwing those away. Those records may contain critical information for a criminal investigation, and it's not going to work to say, well, sorry, we pitched those out because it was too hard to run through a scanner. We've got to keep each one of these imaging machines going about 16 hours a day. As the records get run through those imagers, we load that into our system. And the paper records will be destroyed. Otherwise, we'd need a bigger building, right?
The mail is still coming in on last week's story on the National Rifle Association and its determination to stop any national law to control handguns.
There is no compelling reason for any government to register privately owned firearms unless they're planning to take them away.
The technology that we use is largely designed to prevent us from being able to create the registration system. With the millions of records that we receive, we had to figure out how do we do this and meet the requirements of the law? We're not going to be able to type in a name and draw up a document. You know, essentially we convert it to a PDF, and then we take that PDF and change it into a JPEG. I don't know. It's just a picture. It's not a searchable format. So consequently, somebody has to go and page through all those pictures of the document until they find a gun that we're looking for. And so that search can become pretty intensive.
So how often does this trace actually work?
Last year, that success rate was probably 72%. The number one reason a trace fails is because the initial gun description is faulty. Yes, we have had law enforcement agencies submit a trace request for a gun with no serial number. No model, no nothing. They just sent in a manufacturer name and said, yeah, can you trace that? No, we can't trace that one. Ultimately, when you take the duplicates out, you take the guns out that they didn't describe correctly, we're over 90%. We're over 90%. There are 100 things that you can do to make it a little bit better, that can increase our efficiency, that don't have anything to do with big changes in American society. More like small changes in moving boxes around here more effectively, and maybe an upgraded computer system. If you can slice 20 seconds off of some task, but that task is repeated 1,000,000 times all year long, well, all of a sudden, you're 6 or 7 minutes faster in putting out the results of an urgent trace.
A gunman opened fire at 7 different locations, including a school, killing 4 people.
That's the nature of the tracing center.
Probably about 20 gunshots in rapid succession.
Authorities say a man with a gun headed straight to a classroom.
It is a repetitive task in which you have a certain role in a trace.
A deadly shooting spree in broad daylight.
11 shootings at schools in the first 23 days of this year.
And those ladies and gentlemen back there are going to do that over.
Many people awoke to the sound of gunfire.
And over.
It was a room full of teenagers.
And over again. All day, every day, some of them for 10 or 15, maybe 20 years.
4 of her grandchildren.
Horrifying event.
We got shots fired.
Have they recovered the murder weapon?
As awkward as it seems, we're actually doing something here that might save a life.
In a country where the right to bear arms is enshrined in the Constitution, the debate on gun control this time around seems unlikely to bring any real change.